As Catherine said, I'm Jeremy Dauber. I'm the dairy extension agent in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. So I do a lot of things here, mostly with dairy farmers, but I end up doing sort of, as needed. And one thing that I've been working on the last 5 years is a lot of mental health and farm stress trainings for our producers here. And then since 2022, so the last 2.5 years, we've been doing these farm safety dinner theaters. So it's kind of, my talk's gonna be a little bit different than the other two talks you hear today. It's not directly working with manure or soil health or any of that kind of stuff. We're really talking a little bit more about the people side of farm safety, and it's also a very important side that often gets sort of overlooked. All right, so everything I've done has kind of been building off of what other people have done. I kind of take what's been done, what's been researched, what's worked well, and kind of added on to it and made it applicable to my local farmers. We did Michigan State has a really good farm stress program. National agribility programs are in many states around the country. And then the farm dinner theater concept was developed by Dr. Deborah Reed at the University of Kentucky. She was known as is known as the ag nurse, and done a lot of work working with farms and mental health and farm stress, and just trying to find innovative ways to deliver farm safety um, to producers. So she developed this. She's since retired. You can probably get a hold of her if you really need to, but she doesn't go out and do these trainings anymore herself. But all of her resources are available. And at the end of my slides, I have the link where that's available if you're interested in doing this in your own community. So this is just one of the dinner theaters that she had done. So these dinner theaters are so they're called Readers Theater. So you can see here we have this is an actual flyer that we did to advertise it locally here. So one of the things trying to get people to come to it is interesting. Got to try and find an innovative way to market it. So we kind of marketed it as just, hey, come for dinner, some fellowship, and some entertainment. We did call it a dinner theater, but we really didn't really give them a lot of information. We've done it 4 times here locally, and we've had anywhere from 25 to 50 people at any of these, mostly farmers. We've had some really good discussions. So we could sort of advertise it that way. We try and make sure we have a good meal and a nice location. When we encourage fellowship, dinner, and then a discussion. All the ones I've done have been standalone events. There have been some other agents that have done it as, a full day training, and, this would be part of their, lunchtime event. They would do this dinner theater during lunch. And you can get more people at it than doing standalone. But I think what we've done has worked fairly well. But there is different ways to sort of present it. So it's also called a didactic readers theater, and that really just means that there's not, you're not really studying ahead of time, and you have a lot of discussion afterwards. So the discussion is what's really important in these dinner theaters. So this is so we had our local newspaper come. So most of these pictures are from actually one of our dinner theaters. So Daniel Lynn at the local newspaper here took these pictures, and he does a lot better job than I could do taking pictures. So these were some two high school FFA students and their teacher. And I'd reached out to the one FFA class and asked if they wanted to partner with me on this, and they were really excited. And the young lady here in the green shirt, she's not from a farm. The other students were from farms. She was the one that wasn't from a farm, but was really excited about the concept of doing theater. She was really into it. And actually, we've been working. She wants to come up with some new scripts, that's really specific, especially to youth in the agricultural community locally. So I'm excited. That's something we're probably going to do in the future, working with her. But again, we did give some of the people the scripts ahead of time if they wanted them, but a lot of times they just showed up that night. We handed it to them and said, "Here it is. You can read over it," and just kind of read through it. So, so the community partners have been really, really important for us. The venues, All the venues have donated their time to it, um, to support the event. So you can see here, this is the actual one of the venues we had. There's an orchard in the area here. It's just beautiful views. So all the ones we've done, we start with a dinner. I think 6 or 6:30, we usually start. We have food, everybody eats, and then we do the theater afterwards. We've done three scripts at all ours. So they're about 10 minutes or less, 8 to 10 minutes typically reading through them. And it's 3 to 5 people it takes for each one. So here, everybody ate, and then we just have the readers sit up front and read through the scripts. Again, we don't have a set. We don't have they don't have to be dressed any specific way. They just come in and read through the scripts. But the venue is kind of important just to kind of make people feel comfortable, so that they're, just kind of feeling comfortable and willing to, talk and listen and have, good fellowship and discussions. So the moderators, so we're really fortunate around here. This lady here owns urgent care in the local area here, and she's also married to a dairy farmer. And she actually had approached me about partnering with us on these dinner theaters. So Michelle and the other lady there, Tammy, they've come to all of the ones that I've done, and they're the moderators for it. If you want to do this in your area, anybody that's good at just facilitating discussion can be a moderator. Um, so it could be extension agents or specialists or just somebody in the community. Maybe if you have local pastors that are good at that, could be good facilitators. Michelle and Tammy, they've got the medical background, so they can really come at it from a different angle. And it's just been a really good partnership with us having them involved with this. So the actors, we call them actors, but they don't, they're not practicing ahead of time. Sometimes they have the script a day or two before, but a lot of times they'll just show up and we'll give it to them when they get there. So one of the things I do coordinating it is I have all the scripts ready and kind of coordinate all the food and the location and all that kind of stuff. And we're not really too concerned about who's doing the reading as long as they're, willing to sort of follow the script for the most part. We have changed names and some of that stuff and changed some things if there's something specific to the local area. But it's not acting as you would normally think of acting. It's more just reading and trying to understand what's being said more than how it's being said. We've had students, FFA 4-H students. We've had ag teachers. We've also had local farmers just get up there. There was one. We also had a local legislator that was really interested and had come to one, and he did some of the readings at one of the ones we did. So there was one of the sessions we did that one of the actors didn't show up that we were planning to use, so we just found somebody that was willing to assist, and they didn't know what they're getting into, but they kind of got up front and did it. So there's not really any preparation needed for the actor portion. It's really the easiest part because you just read it and everybody else is involved in the discussions. So of course, a really important part anytime you're working with farmer groups is to have good food. So we have the meal. We start with the meal. We always have good hot meals from local caterers to do that. And if nothing else, everybody's happy with the meal. But we've had really good conversations at all these theaters. So some considerations, do you want to do it as a standalone event or with other events? So it's just something to think about if you're looking to do this in your area. It doesn't have to be with extension, but having extension involved, I think, is a really good way to do it. We've also had some interest from our local farm bureau in doing these, and even some of the local ag teachers are talking about doing, sort of some of these theaters on their own with some of the young farmers groups in the area. Time of day, we base it around a meal. So we've done all of ours in the evening, but I know some of my colleagues have done them at lunchtime. I suppose you could probably do it at a breakfast too. If if that's sort of a big thing in your area where people farmers like to come out to breakfast, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. Like I said, all the ones I've done have been dinners, um, but that just seems to be what works for us in our area. So there's current scripts on the website. You can make up your own scripts if you want. Um, we haven't deviated too much from the scripts that were made. We've just changed some names and a few details. There's some places, some town names and stuff in some of the scripts, and we'll change those to local towns to make it more applicable to the people that are there. So they have a safety or mental health focus. Some of the scripts focus on specific safety things like tractor safety. Some of them will focus on mental health. So they're all a little bit different, but sort of go some type of safety. So media coverage at the event. So I get a lot of phone calls from media that are really interested in covering this, and I'm a little bit hesitant to have too much media at any of these events because I really, I'm doing them for the producers, and I want them to be comfortable talking. We have had some media. Some of the pictures you've seen, we had a lady from the newspaper, and they came and took these pictures. Another one, we had somebody from our local PBS station came and she didn't take any pictures, but she did some interviews and recordings afterwards. So I guess just think about, how much media you want there. It's good to get a little bit of media, just to help, get more people to come to more of them. But again, I'm always a little hesitant to invite too much media there because the most important thing is to have good conversations. Think about confidentiality. People might share stuff that they don't really want out in the media. Do you want to allow pictures? One of the events we did, we allowed them to take some information from the meeting, but we didn't allow them to take any pictures. Interviews, we've done interviews as people running it, but whether the participants want to interview or not is really up to them, and we certainly don't force that. So the outcomes have been really interesting. So every time the conversations go in different directions, even though we are using the same scripts. So that's one of the neatest things for me running these things is just seeing how they go. Sometimes they turn into talking about aging related things. One time we started talking about tractor turnovers in the community. Sometimes we talked about stress related things. We've talked about hearing loss, losing sight. Um, Youth on the farm and how to keep them safe. So the outcomes have all been positive, but they've been really different, which is it was very interesting for me running these events. I did have one person tell me afterwards, they're like, yeah, on the way home, me and my husband, we talked about everything we went over and really started to think about some of the things that we had. It's not anything that they didn't know, but it was just things they hadn't really thought about for a while and keeping their family safe, especially their kids. So the conversations are really the important part of these dinner theaters. So these are some resources, and you should have access to all these, and then my contact. So thank you.